Hello, fellow Pops. I'm Dr. F. Scott Feil, and I'm bringing you a message from our sponsor at Ice Shaker. My diet's always been a little bit messed up most of my life, and I recently started trying to take back control of my health. And one of the issues my doctor pointed out was that I needed to make an increase in my protein intake. Now, I can't eat chicken breasts all day, every day, so protein shakes and powders have become a big help. Ice Shaker and its built-in removable agitator is an amazing product. They come in a bunch of sizes and colors, and you can even get inscriptions and logos on them. They're stainless steel, double wall insulated, and hold ice for 30 plus hours. If you're interested in purchasing one, you can click on the link in our show notes. Or if you're interested in selling them for your business and making commission, and let's be honest, if you're listening to the Professors of Profit vlogcast and you can consider yourself a pop or a professor of profit, you're likely interested in selling these as a side hustle. You can click on that link in the show notes as well. Or you can reach out to me directly on social media. I'm pretty available there. I love Ice Shaker, and I'm betting you, your patients, and your clients will too. Ice Shaker, let's shake things up. Now let's start the show. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Professors of Profit vlogcast. I'm your host, Dr. F. Scott Feil. I've got with me today longtime friend, somebody who I've known for, we were just talking about this, at least 5 years, probably more, Dr. Christine Walker, website extraordinaire. Christine, tell us a little bit about who you are and your journey to, and how it's led you to your side business and how that's become so much more.
Yeah, it's funny to think that after over 5 years of doing this, I guess I can claim that label, website, wizard extraordinaire.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it's also funny hearing you introduce me as Dr. Christine Walker, because it's been a long time since I kind of identify with that at this point. I am by training. Whenever anybody asks me to party and they get confused on what I do, I'm like, well, by training.
Yeah.
I'm a physical therapist.
Well, hey, they can't take that away from you at this point,
no. Ever, right? My daughter wonders why the mail shows up and says doctor and Mr. And I have to explain that one to her. She thinks it's funny. It's not Mr. and Doctor. Southern formal rules. But that being said, it's funny you've introduced me that way, because it's a title that will never disappear. It's something I'm very proud of, something I worked very hard to accomplish. And yet at the same time, something only semi-relevant to what I'm even doing now. So I trained as a physical therapist, went to Medical University of South Carolina in beautiful Charleston, and had a fabulous time there, loved the profession, loved therapy, loved everything. Got out of school, did some pediatrics, did acute care pediatrics. That was, did a lot of pediatric ortho, and started my own cash practice after, getting a little, I guess you could say, disillusioned with the orthopedic opportunities in my area. I was a student at one of them. The idea of 24 patients a day seemed ridiculous to me, and just it just didn't fit my model in my head of what I wanted physical therapy to be. Kudos to those people who worked in it 15, 20 plus years, including my mentor that was there. I mean, she was a rock star, like, not gonna lie. Some people bash the people who stay in that model, and no joke, she was a rock star. So I do not want to speak down on them at all. But that being said, it just didn't fit my mold. It didn't fit me as a clinician, me, and to be honest, my energy levels, me and my physical health. I've had a lot of physical health issues over my life, and then being a physical therapist, ironically, put a lot more stress on my body than I ever would have anticipated. And so I started my own cash practice, trying to alleviate a lot of those pain points. And it was, awesome. I loved doing it. I ended up working with a lot of gymnasts, kind of started to become known in that area back 6+ years ago in the gymnastics area before I completely pivoted. And, I was an entrepreneur by accident. So I actually want to mention this really quick. I should have seen the signs growing up that I wanted to do my own thing. I ran little soccer camps for kids. I started a diving program at my local pool, springboard diving. I made jewelry during PT school. Like, I did all these entrepreneur things, but I never thought of myself as an entrepreneur. ever. Never thought I liked sales. And I'll say the word sales because I'll argue that physical therapy, you are selling all the time in physical therapy, even if
Yeah,
you do not own your own business. You're selling somebody on doing their home exercise program
absolutely.
or coming back to therapy. You're selling all the time. Never, ever, ever thought, I was an entrepreneur and went on bed rest with my first daughter. I mean, my first kid, she was a daughter. And was unfortunately put on bed rest for 3 months leading up to that. Couldn't work as PT, like couldn't do anything. And unfortunately also had a severe, I know you've got a wife, so you've been there, done that with the kids thing as well. Had severe postpartum OCD, which is a little lesser known than postpartum depression. Completely changed, like going through the recovery. I just couldn't go back to work full time as a PT. I wanted to do something else, which is how the cash practice started to begin with. It made me realize how much of an entrepreneur I really was when I finally got healthy and felt better. So the cash practice was going well until guess what? Decided to have that second kid. Yeah, unfortunately, a year in, he did the same thing to me. Bed rest, 3 months, and I'm sitting there thinking, crap. This practice is still relatively young. I'm completely dependent on word of mouth marketing. I'm completely dependent on going and doing in-person events, talking to gymnast parents, like going to concierge medical doctors. How is this practice going to survive with me on the couch for 3 months? So this is when I kind of found a hidden talent of mine I didn't know I had, which was I built my own website. It was gorgeous. It was beautiful. And it converted absolutely nobody. It got 1,000 visitors a month, and I never had a single patient in over a year. For anybody who doesn't understand how bad that is, like an average landing page converts at 2%. Okay. So like if somebody visits a website, your chance of getting them to give you their contact information is about 2%. 0 out of 1,000 is a big fat donut. Okay. Big fat donut. So that I saw that and I thought, that's something I can improve from my sofa, right? Like that doesn't require much getting up and moving around. And so I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is my chance to help save my practice and actually, save it so I don't have to go back to work for somebody else full time. So I started redoing my website. I started studying lead generation. I started studying marketing. Other than being a millennial and picking up on tech quickly, I didn't have formal training at the time. It was like, well, I got 3 months, and most people are never given the gift of 3 months in their adult life to sit down and learn something. I mean, think about it. Even when you go to school, right, you get distracted because you can get up and go do other things. I'm literally stuck on the couch, and TV gets pretty boring after a while. So that is how I got into websites, and I solved the own problem for my clinic. Patients started flooding in. And from there, I was involved in some other groups, ones that I've met you through, other networking groups for physical therapy, for business owners. And I started having other physical therapy clinics be like, hey, you did that for yourself. Can you do it for us? Had no intention of starting this business, complete accident. Just saw a need, was asked to fill it, and stepped up first with an online course. And then everybody's like, oh, that's cool. Online courses are great. We sold hundreds of them. But they're like, no, will you just do it for me? So now out of nowhere, I've got an agency with over 71 clients and growing. We'll do over, I don't mind sharing, we'll do over $500,000 this year easily with a huge recurring revenue base. And it's become not just a side hustle. I mean, it was a side hustle for several years, but now this is a full-time job with ops managers and multiple employees underneath me. It's a lot of fun. I love serving the PT profession this way. As you know, we have trouble marketing ourselves, and even explaining what physical therapy is. So the fact that we get to help other businesses do that and get more people to know how amazing it is, like what we can do, it's super rewarding.
Yeah, you hit on so many key points there. I want to just touch on a couple of them. One, it wasn't really in the skill set of physical therapy that this all kind of happened. It was because of it, really, but it was another skill set outside of what we learned in graduate school that you had to go and learn, right? Which is I've done that for a lot of things, right? Marketing and Facebook ads and Google ads and all these things that I didn't know. I wasn't taught in grad school. but it made you a lot better at not only that skill set, but some of the other skill sets that went to bringing people in to your business, right? Like the copywriting, like the marketing, right? Like selling, like you said, everything is selling, you
Everything.
know? And so I think it's super important for people to realize it's okay to not know things, but then you've got to go out and learn them and add those additional skill sets, which is just, again, an investment in yourself, which those are always great. I think those generally pay off, right?
Absolutely.
And realistically, like, the more skill sets you have outside of your normal, I went to school for this skill set, right? The more skill sets you have, even if you don't want to start a business, you become more marketable to other employees or employers that want to hire you, maybe, right? You have all these other skill sets that could potentially help their clinic. You also diversify your skill sets every one you add, which is going to, again, hopefully lead to several different options and revenue streams. Should a pandemic or a recession or a depression happen, you have other options. So now you've diversified yourself as you would a stock portfolio, and you have options. You're adding optionality.
I
So
always joke at this point, I maintain my license. Look, I
yeah,
maintain it. But I joke, if this just fell apart tomorrow, I probably wouldn't go pick up a PT job
yeah,
immediately. I mean, I have so many other skill sets that I could go start so many other businesses, not to mention have all those ideas. It's like signing objects I got to avoid, right? I know you know the feeling.
mm-hmm.
So, but I have so many other marketable skill sets. I'd just be starting another business tomorrow if
Yeah,
this all disappeared. Like if the government said tomorrow you are no longer allowed to run this business anymore, I'd be like, cool, what's next?
what's next? Exactly.
Because of that diversification. And, I'm very lucky because a lot of people grow up very forced into, what are you going to be when you grow up? What are you going to study in school? Like kind of get on that career path. And I think a lot of us use them even as PTs. We don't go to PT school thinking we're not going to do physical therapy. But I'm very fortunate. My dad is actually he always wanted to be a lawyer. And he said he fell into the wrong crowd in college and ended up being a physician instead, went to med school. And the funny thing is, though, he's still to his day, he's in his 60s, says, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. The man has a MD, an MBA, a JD, a master's in health law. He's got 4 professional degrees, and his opportunities are just all over the place. And I'm not saying you have to go the degree route. I certainly did not go to the degree route, and actually no plans to ever go back to formal education at this point because I've acquired the skills elsewhere. However, the point is bigger. It's like, I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
Yeah,
And it's okay. And that's actually a great thing because it makes you think and challenge and be like,
absolutely.
it's worth learning new skills. It's learning diversified skills. And to that point, I see a lot of people, and I don't know if you see this as much, but a lot of the entrepreneurs I'm working with that are now scaling beyond themselves into the next, there's a lot of like, well, I'll just hire what I don't know how to do. On the surface, that sounds great. Like, I'll outsource what I don't know how to do or whatever. And it is, like, I'm a huge fan of it. However, you still have to have a basic understanding of whatever you are giving away. Otherwise, you're going to have no idea if it's working or not, if they're doing a good job or not, et cetera. And I see that mistake a lot right now. So it's always worth investing in yourself and you having some form of understanding about everything you're getting involved with.
Yeah, absolutely. And I agree. Like I've tried everything that I teach. I've done it, not always successfully. And I know what I like to outsource and what I don't, right? Like website building, so let's talk a little bit about that. Why should somebody, let's say, a physical therapist or an occupational therapist, nurse practitioner, whatever, somebody in healthcare, a professor, a practitioner, why should they look into starting a business on website creation? What are some of the pros you've seen with that?
Generally speaking, some of the pros that I see in the website industry actually are bigger business principles that could be applied to the website industry or anything else. And you might think, oh, you're not pitching websites very well, but let me explain. The website industry is great because of how you can use it. Okay. Other niches may be great too. I know you're featuring 100 of them, for goodness sakes. But I bet if you really look at it, a lot of them that are really, really solid have some recurring themes. And one of the best parts about the website industry is that it's, one, always needed. Okay. And in the sense of, hey, COVID shut down everybody's buildings. But guess what? Nobody wanted to turn off their website because their building was shut down. They still needed a way to prove they existed. A website is real estate that is not going away, at least not in our lifetime. It's just not. So the need is there big time. It's just not something that's going to disappear. You know, here's the thing: Facebook or Google could 10x their prices tomorrow. And there'd be so many people that all of a sudden can't afford to do it or can't do it. As we learned, the government can shut down your building and say you're not allowed to go in there. Right? Websites, you are the owner. Right? And now, even if you have somebody helping, it's still real estate that you control. Now, of course, at least in the United States, I know we have friends elsewhere in the world that maybe aren't quite as lucky in that regard. But we're talking to a US audience here. This is something you control way more than so many other things in your life. You know, it's your chance. It's your opportunity. It's your online real estate. It's who you are. Gosh, I was looking at some statistics earlier today, just blowing my mind about, you know, what I think it was somewhere in the 60s or 70% of people do not believe a business is legit unless they have a website. Like, if they can't find the business online, now think about that. The statistic was actually they can't find it online. So even if you exist, but you're not findable, right? People doubt you. So I love the website industry because of that. It's not going away. So it's a very secure industry, which is when I'm looking at a side hustle, you know, I'm definitely looking at that. I don't want to be in something that's, you know, you're not going to see me jump into the hottest, like, you know, trendiest markets because it's too volatile for my liking. You know, other people who maybe have more, you know, other assets already developed who can take bigger risk. But if I'm looking at certain side hustle and I don't have one or I only have one or two, I'm definitely looking at something more stable. Websites would fit that bill, right? No matter whether you do them for your industry like physical therapy or in another niche, it fits the bill. The second reason I really like it is I've learned in life that recurring revenue is king, queen, whatever you want to call it. Okay. And once again, because somebody always needs you, you can develop a recurring revenue model in the website world, between websites, between, you know, SEO, between Google Maps, Google My Business. Like, those are all things that, when done properly, need monthly maintenance, and people will pay for it because they've got to beat out everybody else they're competing with, right? So I can't tell you how many times recurring revenue, especially for someone like me who's gone through health issues, who's gone through ups and downs. But even if you don't, how much security you get out of recurring revenue. I mean, why do people invest in real estate and like rent their properties out? Why? You know, it's the same thing. It's a recurring revenue base, recurring investment. And when I'm looking at side hustle opportunities, I'm either looking at something that would have a strong recurring revenue base or a strong like repurchase base, which essentially gives you, you know, even if it's not a subscription model, you know, I'd much rather sell soap or candy, something disposable, than I would something that like this, you know, this cool Starbucks mug right here that it's awesome, but like I only need to buy it once unless I break it. Right. Whereas my tissues here, man, as soon as I run out, Kleenex is getting some more out of me, or Puffs, or whoever this is. So, right. So I love the website industry also for that. There is a chance if you do it right. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. There's a lot of people who have trouble, you know, being able to show people really that the benefit, let me put it this way, not that they need it, but the benefit of being on a recurring model. But it is a recurring model opportunity. So from a side hustle standpoint, those are two of the main boxes I'm looking to check. Yeah. And it does.
Well, again, you bring up some really interesting points, right? One, you're solving a problem, right? You're filling a need. It's a service that is going to be there forever, right? It's going to need help. Whether it's new people or existing people, there plenty to serve. And it's literally connecting something how to do to a population that needs somebody to do it for them. It's just connecting A to B, which is the simplest way to start a business and start making some profit. Like, hey, I know this need exists already. I'm pretty good at it. Let me offer that service. Once you do that, then you can start layering things in. Then you can start adding other things. But for the most part, it's a great way to start out. It's a great way to get some momentum behind you and get some revenue generated. What are some tips or tricks or pointers that you would give to somebody looking to start a website building type business or agency? What have you learned over the years that you feel might be helpful for people to know?
It's all your success or failure on a website agency will come down to your customer service. Hands down. Hands down. I can tell you the technology world in general is just notorious for having a ton of amazingly smart people who are really good sitting behind their computer all day that never want to talk to anybody. Ever. And this is where, especially as a physical therapist, your skills in customer service will translate very, very, very well. And I'm fortunate at this point. I have a big enough team that I don't do the daily contact anymore. Like I have a whole operations team, all that jazz. But part of the reason we grew so fast at the beginning, when I was the one really focused on doing it, and part of the reason they're still successful because I keep them focused on this, it is the customer service. I mean, we would easily sell people all the time, on one of the main points of, we're there for you pretty much. Like, how do you want to talk to us? Email, text, phone, Zoom, like you tell us. And they're like, oh my gosh, usually it takes like a week or two for my web developer to respond to me. Like, let me tell you, all those people are making my job that much easier. You're getting 24-hour response time with us. We're doing your edits very fast. Like we're doing your updates very fast. You need something new. You need consulting on it. Like we're there, right? Customer service will make or break it. And I'm telling you, you lose their trust once and that's it. You can almost like put the ticker on when they might cancel it. And that sounds harsh, but in the website world, once again, you are dealing with someone's reputation, their stature, their presentation to the world, and you make them mad about that, they're not very happy. Customer service is the key to keeping any agency, ads, website, any tech agency alive, and the good news is, for those of you who are good at it, the vast majority of them do a horrible job at it. So you're already years ahead just on the customer service, like just with that one aspect. I would argue, because I wasn't the most like, let's be very clear. And this is where I think people think like, I have to be the most skilled. Like I'm not good enough to start a website agency. I'm not good enough to start XYZ side hustle. I was clearly not the most educated and not the most skilled website builder. And I built them all myself for the first several years. Now, once again, I have a team, but like I built them all myself for a long time, right? I wasn't the most skilled. I had really good customer service. And then the secondary thing is I actually got really good results, right? So on average, I think I told you earlier, 2% is what like an average across the internet. Our clients on average, because we track every lead that comes in, they convert at 7 to 8. So it's like we put something else in front of them, they're getting a 3 to 4x boost on average, like over time. And I mean, that's just, most people are like, what? When they really understand the numbers and the math behind that, it's mind blowing, right? So you give them really good customer service, and I'd still put that as number one, because customer service can make up for some mistakes. Right? We all know that.
Yeah.
We all know that. And number two is, of course, deliver on what you promised and get them good results. Because eventually they'll want that. So,
yeah, I mean, I don't know what the exact stat is, but for the most part, if you have a bad experience with something, people are like way more likely to leave a negative review than if you have a good experience
Correct.
where they don't leave anything, you
Mhm.
know? So one slip up, one customer service hiccup, and people are going to run to the reviews and leave their negative comments and feedback, right?
Yep.
So super important not to lose that trust, not to, break that bond with the clients. But I think realistically, if I'm going to start to offer a service, and again, even physical therapy, I think you did a really great point of illustrating how stuff that we learned in grad school, how things that we learned throughout our profession, communication, selling, a plan of care or whatever it may be, right? All of those things come back full circle to now a different aspect and a different part of your business. It might be veiled a little bit. It may look like something else, but at the end of the day, we're using those communication skills and that rapport building that we do with patients to now focus it on clients and say, hey, I'm here for you. This is my job. This is what I like to do. This is how I'm going to solve your problem. How can I help you?
It's that simple. I
Yeah.
mean, really, it's that simple. All of this business, physical therapy, side hustles, how can I help?
Yeah.
That's all we're trying to do.
Well, Christine, thank you so much for coming on to educate our audience on all things website and just a neat story on like you said, side hustle to so much more than that. Where can people reach out to you or find you or look you up on the internet if they want to follow up or ask more questions or just see what you're up to and what you're offering these days?
Yeah, absolutely. I would be happy to have them check me out. I am on Facebook, Christine Walker. I think my profile's public, so you should be able to find me. But I'm also on Instagram at the Christine Walker. And you can check me out there. I'm on some other places, but I'm going to be honest with you. I only check them occasionally. So, if you message me on LinkedIn, it may not go well. Just to be brutally honest. But check me out there. People can also, just send me DMs through that as well. And, I was thinking about it. We were talking about it earlier. I was thinking I'd put together a list. We'll get a link for you guys. Maybe we'll do a ptwebsitesecrets.com, which is the website agency if people want to go check that out. ptwebsitesecrets.com. We'll do something like /F Scott maybe, or do you want something different?
No, that's perfect. That's perfect.
/F Scott, and I'll put together some tips, like 10 mistakes or 5 mistakes or things to not mess up when you start your website agency for any of those folks that, are looking to do this and are just like, hey, give me a leg up, give me some more, like you found this useful. You want some more of my tips before you get started, or if you're already going even, just some more things I've learned, mistakes along the way. I'll put something like that and we'll get that live for you guys.
Awesome. We'll drop all those links in the show notes so make it easier for people to find you. Christine, thank you so much. Always a pleasure. Great catching up with you.
You as well. Thank you for having me.